Joe Marino and Kyle Crabbs from the Draft Network. And Kyle, I want to talk about the 2021 NFL Draft interior defensive line class because let's face it, it's not shaping up so hot right now. A lot of the guys we thought could be top picks aren't really showing us that they are. Some guys opting out. We're looking for risers. What are some of your early thoughts on this class?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we're waiting for somebody to kind of step up to the plate, right? The best performing IDL that we've seen to this point in the season is arguably Jordan Davis from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with Jordan Davis is he's not as explosive as what Derek Brown was. And obviously Derek Brown, you forget about the combine testing with Derek Brown. We're talking on the field tape Derek Brown, really explosive. He's not quite to that level to be able to command being a top pick and pass rush value for a guy who's 330 plus. What's the value of a top performing 2-down player? Well, we've heard the NFL's down on Tyler Shelvin. The NFL's down on Marvin Wilson. So that seems like the most household names are all guys like that, Joe, where it's like, okay, we're not getting those gap penetrators that typically move the needle for the early portions of the draft.
Think about a guy like Jalen Twyman from Pitt who opted out of the season. And the more you study his tape from last year, you love the production, but the more you realize that he kind of needed to play and show more. I think he's a bit underdeveloped when it comes to his frame. You mentioned Marvin Wilson, a guy that's been battling injuries. He's not necessarily showing himself in terms of being a complete defensive lineman. And
now he's done too.
Done, yep. He's going to the Senior Bowl, so that'll be big for him.
Yeah.
Christian Barmore from Alabama was a guy that we hoped would emerge and really take a step forward this year with more snaps, but that hasn't really happened. So maybe we can find some positivity here, Kyle. Is there any defensive linemen that shine for you or stand out as a guy that has helped themselves and elevated their stock?
Yeah, I think one he's a little undersized, but Darius Stills from West Virginia. He's 285. He's more of that traditional 3 tech. I think in single gap penetration type defenses, he could play 3-4 defensive end. He's the one for me that, like, if you want a guy who's going to get into the backfield and attack the mesh point, he's playing well. And he's showcasing his athleticism for West Virginia. West Virginia playing some good defense in a conference that doesn't have a lot of it. So that in itself is pretty special. So he's the first name that comes to my mind.
I'll give a shout out to Alim McNeill from NC State. Woo! He's playing well. He's played well this year. He's got an interception. That's always fun when you see a interception and a fat guy touchdown. So McNeill delivered that. But he's a guy that popped for me last year on tape when studying him and just seeing the urgency that he plays with, some of the penetration ability. But I think he's playing a more complete style of football. I think he can play a little bit of 5-tech for you. He can kick inside. I think he gives you some versatility, run and pass defender. So if there is a bright spot for me when it comes to this interior defensive line class, Alim McNeill from NC State really pops.
Speaking of big guys, can I give a little shout out to Kyrus Tonga of BYU?
Absolutely.
He's been really, really good this year. And just, if you're looking for pure nose tackle, you're not interested in 2-down A-gap defenders, drafting him in the top 100, which you'll probably have to do if you want Jordan Davis and Marvin Wilson and Tyler Shelvin. You want that discount guy? Kyrus Tonga from BYU is the way to go. And he is really, really stout. He is a bowling ball in the middle that has a little bit of hustle and motor to him. So he'll surprise you with some of the plays that he can make on plays that don't just come straight downhill at him. But he is, if we're looking for a day 3 kind of sleeper type, he would be my nose tackle of choice.
Still got plenty of football left for these guys to elevate their stock, but we're still searching for more names here when it comes to the 2021 NFL Draft interior defensive line class.